What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, put him in the longboat until he's sober. Put him in the longboat until he's sober. Put him in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. She rises early in the morning. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Put him in the scows to the hood of my son. He'll put him in the scows to the hood of my son. He'll put him in the scows to the hood of my son. He'll early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning.
Whole year now with doing Captain's Quarters podcast. There's Mr. Davey Longwood. Say hello there, Davey.
Ahoy there.
Hi, mate. Good to see you. We got a good show planned for tonight, don't we?
Aye, Captain.
Good. I am Mr. Mason, Hellfire Henley. He can't be here this evening, which is fine. We have an extra guest coming in just a little bit, but our main guest we'll be introducing in just a few moments. But let's get all the technical stuff out of the way here, bringing up my scripting so I can see. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a part of our podcast, we ask you to go to our YouTube channel, Captain's Quarters Podcast, and join us. Subscribe to us, like us, and hit that little bell so you get reminders to let you know when we're going on, which is every Monday night. Can't be any harder than that. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason I have to now say Eastern Standard Time is we have pirates from all over the world watching us now and a part of our crew. So go to YouTube's Captain's Quarters Podcast and join our crew and be a part of our podcast. We'd be most honored to have you there. This is some good rum, and I'm going to tell you all about it in just a little bit. But for now, paying our respects. It's something we started about 2 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, we decided this was a good way to be a part of our beginning of our show. What we do is we talk about people in our culture who have passed on in the last week or so. And first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, rapper Coolio passed away. And I need to put my glasses on again. I'm going to have to start wearing glasses on a regular basis. He was only 59 years old, ladies and gentlemen. 59 years old. He was famous for being in the movie Dangerous Minds, which used his song Gangsta's Paradise, which, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the few rap songs I truly, truly did enjoy. So he's now gone. Coolio told TMZ managers he believed he suffered, or Coolio's manager said that he believed he suffered from a heart attack. And there'll be further follow-ups on that. Another set of people that have passed on. New York Jets offensive lineman Marvin Powell and Jim Sweeney both died this past week. Powell was a 3-time All-Pro at the right tackle and served as president of the NFL Players Association for 2 years during his 11-year NFL career, the first 9 with the Jets. He died Friday. He was 67, and Sweeney was one of the Jets' most durable players, starting 158 consecutive games during an 11-year stretch with the team, mostly as the center. He died Saturday. The Jets said Sweeney was 60. These two teammates were actual teammates during the 84 and 85 seasons. The Jets have a little special something. Maybe someday down the road we'll talk about that, but it's a special something for us. The last one is Chief Anchor Bernard Shaw. He died of pneumonia related to COVID on September 7th. Now, that was a month ago, ladies and gentlemen, but I completely missed this. But the reason I bring it up now, Bernard Shaw was of the original CNN, when news reporters back then, and some of you may or may not agree with me on this, and I'm trying not to make it too political, but back then in the 1980s, news reporters were news reporters. They were not opinion reporters. And Bernard Shaw was one of the very first respected CNN news reporters. And he passed on. And he is of the old school. Even before him, it would have been Walter Cronkite and Chet Brinkley and Cronkite. That was the other name I couldn't think of. Those were the old school where they reported the news, ladies and gentlemen, the facts. And we give our honor to them. So, Mr. Longwood, give them the honor. We honor each and every one of them. And in closing for this, we'd like to say one more thing. You can take that one down, Mr. Davey. Thank you, sir. One more thing. We'd like to mention this. Hurricane Ian has finally gone and dissipated into the weather, but left 76 Floridians passed on. So to the families of all those Floridians, we offer our condolences and our sorrow. 76 is a lot of people to lose in any kind of a weather. So we say condolences to them also. It's now time for Quote of the Week, ladies and gentlemen. What's our Quote of the Week, Mr. Davey? For if a man is capable of confronting death daily, there is no telling what else that man can do. Blackbeard. That is a good quote. I like that. Confronting death daily. There is no telling what else that man can do. That's a good quote and should be held close by some of our many military veterans also. Some that I know and some that I have served with. Good quote, Davey.
Thank you, sir.
So, question of the week, ladies and gentlemen. When you're hunkered down for a hurricane, what do you do when you're hunkered down? What's your activity? What's your go-to? Games on your phone? Reading a book? Watching a movie or two if you've got the power and the electricity? What is your hunkered down for hurricanes activity? We'll be looking at that later on in our broadcast. Let's talk about our crew adventures. Our crew adventures are great. That is not the right one, but that's okay. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, crew adventures. Coming up this weekend, October 7, 8, and 9, Pirates of the High Seas Fest over in Panama City Beach, Florida. We'll be going over there. Myself and 9 crewmates will be going with me to help them with their event and raise a little bit of money for our charity. November 12th is Pirates on the Edge in Edgewater, Florida. Be watching for that. We'll be talking about it a lot. Our Spooktacular is 28, 29, and 30. That's us, the St. Augustine Swashbucklers, turning the Colonial Quarter into a great family-oriented haunt or Halloween display. Of course, January 23, 2023, that is, we're doing Old City Pirate Festival. I also see December 3rd and December 16th. The Sirens are hosting 2 events. December 3rd is Santa Claus out at the Panama City Beach tree lighting ceremony, and December 16th is their holiday gala. Both events, they will be supporting the toy drive. And then, ladies and gentlemen, every Monday night, of course, it's Captain's Quarters Podcast. So be watching. Also, we have one other event. It's not on here yet. It's still in the works, but we believe that November 21st, and we'll talk about it in another section of the show, which is what we are doing on our next Monday nights. But we will be doing a live broadcast on location. We'll talk about that more later on. Other than that, let's talk a little bit more about this weekend. The Pirates of the High Seas in Panama City Beach. It's a great event. I've gone over to it for about 6 years in a row, maybe 7 now. The crew members that go with me, we have a condo to stay in, and we celebrate their pirate festival. Now, they've moved their festival from Pier Park to the actual county park next door, so they have much more space. They're bringing in vendors and turning it into a pirate renaissance festival also. Tom Mason is there. Captain William Mayhem is there. They have a slew of other entertainers going to be there, and it's a rowdy good time from Friday night till Sunday afternoon. If you're in the panhandle of Florida and want to come over and say hello, come see the St. Augustine Swashbucklers tent. We have 3 tents being set up, and come join us. It is a grand and great event. And I do want to talk about our spooktacular. You'll see a lot more about that coming up. But ladies and gentlemen, that's October 28, 29, and 30, 6:30 nightly. It is an admission this year. The last couple of years we've done it, last 4 or 5 years we've done it in the captain's backyard. But this year we're doing it downtown on St. George Street. It is a $10 admission for children. It's a $10 admission for adults and $5 for children under 11 and under. So, you see those names down the side? Those are all the people that have actually sponsored and helped us build this event. This means that barring any unforeseen circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, all of the ticket money goes to our charities, which are listed down at the bottom, Investing in Kids and St. Augustine Youth Services. Only 3 nights, ladies and gentlemen. It is a walk at your own pace. I will give you this hint. There's a ghost ship, there's a cemetery, there are mermaids, and there is the biggest doggone spiderweb you've ever wanted to see, plus a few other little things going on throughout the entire colonial quarter. I believe that you will enjoy it if you come down. And on the back side of the postcard that you're looking at right now, which we have thousands of them to give away, there is another spot on the back side. Did you get the other side of it, David?
No, Captain, you didn't give it to me.
All right. I thought I did, but that's all right. On the back side of that card, if you get one of these cards, it tells you bring the card in and cans of food for cats and dogs, because we're also collecting food for the Humane Society for those 3 nights. Ladies and gentlemen, you can bring up to 2 cans per ticket. You'll get $1 off per can of food that you bring in. So if you bring in 2 cans of food, a $10 ticket will only cost you 8. A $5 ticket will cost you 3. Ladies and gentlemen, that means a family of 4 can come in and bring in 8 cans of food and get their 2 tickets, the 2 adult tickets for 8 apiece, which would be 16, and 3 each on the kids, which would be 6, which means for $22 and 8 cans of food, you can come in and see our grand spooktacular, supported by those people there listed as our sponsors, and we will dive into those sponsors more later on. They have helped us greatly, and we are full steam ahead. Come on down and see us, 28, 29, and 30. We look forward to seeing you there. I believe that's about it, other than we've already mentioned Hurricane Ian.
Yes,
it has affected the whole state. Go ahead. That is to downtown St. Augustine, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, that's the waterfront. There it is there, the waterfront also. And there's the Pirate and Treasure Museum. Yes, the courtyard was completely engulfed in water, but it never made it through the doors. Thank goodness. There's the ticket booth to the Colonial Quarter, and looking out from the Pirate Museum across to the Bridge of Lions. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we did have a lot of water. That right there is King Street. Looking down past Whetstones and onto the Flagler buildings that are used for their dormitories. That is King Street, ladies and gentlemen. It is amazing that every time we have a hurricane come through, it always seems to hit when the tides are high and the moon is almost full. We've had a lot of damage here, but we've had a lot of damage all over the state. There are cries going out for people needing help everywhere. I'm not sure how we as pirates can help everywhere, but I do believe that we will work towards helping our own community first with the people we know that have problems, and then we will branch out. If you want to help us, the way you help us is by showing up at our events. So come on out to the Spooktacular or the Dick's Wings event on the 21st of November. We'll talk more about that later on. But ladies and gentlemen, we've talked enough now, and it's reached that 14-minute mark, which is 2 minutes more than I'm supposed to talk. So it is time for me to bring in our guest, all the way from Utah, the Utah Pirates, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mandy Jo Brown, and she's also a very dear friend of the wife and I. She came out and helped us with her crew for the 2020, was it?
It was 2020, yeah.
2020. They came all the way from Utah to help us out with Old City Pirate Festival, and I'm going to get her to say yes right here on camera. She's coming out again in 2023, aren't you?
I absolutely am.
Very good. So, you are part of the Utah Pirates. Now, before we go into... There's Ken Smith saying hi. Captain Smoo from Quebec just said hello to you. Hi. Quebec, Canada. Look at that. I'm going to bring one other person in. Since we do not have Hellfire Henley here, 2 weeks ago we had Zachary Harker from Michigan on our show streaming live. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Him and his wife are in Florida celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary, and they just happened to be coming by St. Augustine, so I've invited him to come sit down. So we get to bring him in. He's just going to sit here, and we're going to have a drink real quick, a spot of rum, and I have to tell you, this spot of rum comes from Michigan. It's called freshwater rum. It's not bad. He says it's better if it's cold, now he tells me.
Well, some people like further rum at room temperature, so I usually start that off. But
I think it'll be better at cold. There's a harsh backbite on it. So, Mandy, how many crew members do you have in your crew? And before we tell everybody about your more so, let me put this out and then you correct me. Your crew is a entertaining crew to help further education in school activities like history and reading, correct?
Okay, so 1 or 2 of my cruises, yes.
Okay.
So which is REACH, which is Raising Education Through Arts, Characters, and Heroes. And we go to schools and teach history, literacy, arts, STEM, and anti-bullying program using various characters, including pirates, to teach different things to the kids with hands-on interactive programs. So anything we teach has a hands-on factor. So when we're teaching about pirates, we're either making flags or we're teaching them that pirates didn't really make maps, but we teach the kids to make maps anyways and store scrolls for literacy. Or we do siege weapons and we actually take siege weapons into the kids and teach them to build the siege weapons themselves. So, and then Utah Pirate is my entertainment company. So we go wherever we get asked to go and we go entertain and play with children. And I own 2 pirate ships. I have a 25-foot and a 35-foot pirate ship that are on wheels, and so I've had them all over the West Coast so far. So
what's one of the most prominent things you've been asked to do with your pirate ships?
Well, we had a whole thing going on with Amazon because I thought that was kind of funny. My husband had a heyday with it, but Amazon wanted to show with all their new facilities as they were opening, they had fast shipping. So they had our pirate ship at all the grand openings of all their new facilities going on out here to show for fast shipping. And then Apple, Apple in California could not get the black pearl up a street. My ship is street legal, so they called and paid for my ships to go from Utah all the way up there to get to where they wanted them because they couldn't get the black pearl from Disney up it.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun.
Very cool. We got to go back to that speedy shipping or whatever they call it. Because in my tours in the Pirate Museum, I talk about how pirates more than likely did not bury treasure.
They didn't.
And I give...
2.
What's that?
2 did.
All right. Which I give one of the reasons is because of speedy ships. Because sailing ships travel at about 16 to 24 knots or 24 miles an hour, which is less in knots, but some people don't understand knots. So it's... the speedy ships, that's probably an oxymoron right there. That would be hilariously funny.
Oh, he was laughing because they had all of the executive people from Amazon corporate like on top of the ship waving at everybody, taking photos and like trying to brag about it. And he's like, I don't think they realize these things don't really go that fast. But
they don't go that fast. That's hilariously funny. So just between you and I and everybody else watching, who are the two pirates you believe that actually buried treasure?
Okay, I want to say Avery, but I could be wrong on the one that was down south who went back and collected it. The other one is Captain Kidd, who is still potentially being disproved as a pirate, but he buried his treasures outside New York, but to avoid being picked up.
True, except for one thing, and probably you don't know this part of the story now. Through further research, the treasure was never buried.
Oh, Kidd's wasn't?
No, it was stolen from him, and the people that stole it from him are the ones responsible for his capture.
So that's a funny thing because there's some lawsuits proving some other stuff. I'm not really sure I should put all over the internet too far because there's another lawsuit trying to shut down the information being provided of some plagiarism that matches to the books that were in Captain Kidd's treasure.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about it privately. Aye. Harker's Island to use as a bargaining ship. It didn't quite work out so well for him. Of course not, Mr. Smith. It did not.
Of course, why don't feel bargaining my island?
Aye. Because there are 4 stories about him, but we'll save those stories for another time if we do an episode on Captain William Kidd. Because his whole story, his whole life as a pirate, is not laughable and not questionable, but a whole lot of aspects of it come into play. Because he actually was a very successful shipping magnate, and made a deal with the king that just went sour. That's all. So, and the family that is responsible for turning him in still has prominence in the United States of America. That's probably part of what you were talking about.
The culture here where I'm from actually has a potential very solid linking foundation to Captain Kidd that they try to deny.
When America Unearthed episode on Captain Kidd was done by Scott Walters from the History Channel, he came to the Pirate Museum, and we had long conversations about this whole story. And in his episode, he actually brought some prominent members of that family on camera to make comments, and they refused to make comments without the presence of a lawyer. So yes, it's pretty undeniable that the treasure probably never really made it anywhere other than the hands of the people that did him in. But there are, there's some people that went around and told stories that he buried it all over on Madagascar, which, if you know anything about sailing, would know that that's completely not true also. But we don't want to get into all of that about Captain Kidd because we want to talk about Mandy Jo Brown and the Utah Pirates. So, how about this? What grade levels are you working with when you go out and start doing stuff with the kids?
We've been anywhere from as young as 4-year-olds all the way up through high schoolers.
Really?
And then we've done some some young adult disabled groups. So I guess we've had a bunch of young adults and stuff like that we've taught with different just programs out in the area.
So how many are in your crew then? And since you have 2, you can be specific.
I want to say there's about 25 of us under Utah Pirate, and then I have roughly about 120 under the REACH program.
The REACH program, tell us what REACH stands for again. What's the acronym?
Raising Education Through Arts, Characters, and Heroes.
All right, very good. So it's not just pirates that you do with that part, though, either, is it?
No, it's not.
You have Superman, Batman.
We do everything from superheroes to knights to princesses. I have mermaids over there. I put storybook characters all over the place. Pirates. We do a Renaissance history program, so we teach with about Leonardo and Da Vinci and stuff like that.
So do you do reading programs also?
We do.
The reason I ask is because we have a pirate crew over here in Florida that does big reading programs. They're from down over in the Tampa area. And damn, I can't think of their name all of a sudden. It'll come to me. Scarlet Fortuna. I knew it would come to me. The Scarlet Fortuna does a big reading program here. And I know that my brother over in Panama City, he goes to some of the schools as a pirate and does reading programs also. Reading programs are a really good thing and very important to do because the children... Do you find that the children are very appreciative when you come out in character?
They love it more, and they tend to remember it. When we first got going, we'd always questioned how well the kids were retaining what we were doing with them and if they enjoyed it. But then the kids started showing up at fundraiser events. So REACH runs completely off of donations that we get from FanX and Renaissance fairs and stuff like that we set up our own little demos and just raise money at. And so when we started having the kids show up to these events that we were fundraising at, and recognizing our characters, they would run up to Oliver, whom you briefly met when we were down in August of 2019, and they get excited and they're like, King Arthur, and start freaking out about him being King Arthur, it made us realize that, yeah, it is connecting. The kids are fully remembering everything we're teaching them because it's no longer just a book in front of them. It's no longer just the same face. It's a character, a person that's actually bringing stuff to life to them.
So what characters do you play besides Pirate?
So I have, I just picked up Lady Thor to add to our superhero program. I have Black Widow. I have Batgirl. I do Belle. I have Bellatrix from Harry Potter. I'd have to sit and think of all of the ones down the list. Just kind of.
What about Bo? Now, Bo is your other half, right?
So Bo does not come out with Reach very often, but it's only because usually he's got our kid during all of that. But he does do a lot of the pirate entertainment stuff, and his big thing that he kicked off on over like the respike, I guess, the resurgence from COVID relaxing rules was he's been researching Sam Bellamy. So when he's out on the ship playing with the kids, he's talking to them about Sam Bellamy and the slaves that Bellamy freed and things like that, and trying to give a different light to pirates than what they've all been taught.
Yes, the pirates. It's really hard to talk about the history of pirates because there's so many people that have it set in their mind that pirates were particularly really evil people, and in actuality they were not. They weren't great people. A lot of them weren't great good men, but there have been some times in some of my tours where I've always liked to tell people, at least the pirates were open about their thievery. You had more dishonesty from the representatives of the royal families and the governments here in the colonies being just as despicable as the pirates were, but the pirates were open and did it in broad daylight because they not that they were proud about it, but they were just out there. All these other people that were just as bad, because there was no checks and balances here in the New World. And that's why the pirates were able to flourish for 55 years during the golden age of piracy. There were no checks and balances until it came around in 1719, give or take a year or two, when the British and the Spanish and the French decided, well, we got to get rid of these guys because they're really ruining our economy. So
they took out the slave trade.
Well, they did. The pirates, a lot of people, pirates were into slavery. Not really, they weren't. They took hell. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That'll get me locked down off of YouTube.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Took out and freed the slaves is what they did, and they gave them a choice. They gave them an option on how to live their life.
Absolutely, they did. In fact, when pirates needed manpower, slave ships were a great place to get manpower because you gave them a better option than sitting there in chains in their own filth. So. The reason I reference about being careful what I say is because last week we played a video of the two cello players, the twins that played cellos, and they played the Pirates of the Caribbean music, and we got a oh, you can't do that letter from YouTube telling us that we weren't allowed to do that. So I have to be more careful, which doesn't make any sense to me because it's all over YouTube anyway. You can go on and watch it anyway, and who cares? But I guess Walt Disney is very careful about things. So,
Captain, I got a picture here.
A picture? Ah! Look at those two ships.
Awesome.
Those are really good. So did you build them or buy them?
So my friend Moroni built them. When he retired, he's the original Utah Captain Jack. When he retired, he sold me his entire company. So, but I used to help him with it too before that. So.
Well, the Ancient City Sirens, which is my bestest friend in entertainment, is Gina Marie. They just finished their own float too, and it looks good. I used to have a float, and I turned it over, and at times I'm sorry I did, but at other times having a float sometimes is a headache.
So mine are a little bit more sturdy than floats. If you can find the photo or the videos, I'll have to look and see if I can locate them. The bigger one of the two lights up completely.
Really?
An entire interior. So the one on the right of that photo, if it's showing the same way that I'm looking at it, it has shadow boxes inside it and has like a whole bunch of really cool stuff on the interior.
It's a shame you're so far away. I'd love to have them out here.
They just won't fit on your slider. I could drive them there. They just put them in the pickup trucks and move them.
Yeah.
I
Very
drive
much
the
so.
small one, so.
So how long have you been doing this now? How long has Reach been in existence?
So Reach started in 2013.
All right. And the other side of your...
I picked up the pirate ships in 2018.
So you've been going at it now for 9, almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So aside from coming to St. Augustine, is that the farthest you've ever gone to be a pirate?
I think it's further than we just went with Boston, because I just went and was running around up in the Wyndham museums and hanging out up there.
Ah, very good, very good.
I needed to go see Sam Bellamy's ship. So.
Yes. That's another piece of great history. As I was telling you earlier while we were waiting for the show to start, I used to do a lecture on pirates, and we had picked out several pirates and their purpose for being a pirate. And Sam Bellamy's purpose for being a pirate was nothing more than love. It is a love story. It's a sad love story.
There's a funny story with that. They're still trying to prove it.
Really?
Yeah, so Hallett may not actually be her name. They were calling her Goody Hallett, but Goody is married. So that would be a married woman, and they think that's where the name Mary came from. So that's not actually the person's name they're looking for to go get any information on her.
Wow. So there's a possibility that
There's a plot twist.
the start of the story is not as true as they say.
Well, they think the girl exists because there was a bar that the pirates used to go to the basement of to do a lot of their trade, because Boston was one of the few areas just outside Cape Cod that they could do their trade kind of legally. Like, they had a system in place.
Right.
And they think they're pinning down who it was, but then the next question would is if it's not who they think it is and they find out, could the child have actually lived if there was actually a child of Sam Bellamy's?
Wow. Because the story in a nutshell is that she was not allowed to be with him because her parents were not in favor of her being with somebody that had no money because they were rich. And then he leaves to become a pirate and gather up the money he needs to take her, and unbeknownst to him, she's pregnant. She suffers through all of this, and just before he returns, her and the baby die. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's one of many of the variables to the story. Yeah, talking to the historian guy that I sat and talked to at the Pirate Museum, he was telling me different pieces of it, and then when he kept saying that her name wasn't really Goody because Goody was married, I says, then why are you looking for Mary? Because that makes sense that those link together, that Mary would be married in the various languages. He goes, oh crap, you're right. This links back to, hold on, I actually have the name of who they think it is. Because I take notes off of everything in the world because I'm crazy. Smith's Tavern. Smith's Tavern is the name of the place in Boston.
What's the name of the tavern?
Smith's Tavern.
Okay.
Where did it go? It should have been right there.
So it can be a completely different story than what everybody has been used to hearing then.
Yeah. Crap, it's on my husband's phone.
All right, so here's another question then. Although I want to talk more about what you do, but I'm going to ask you another question. You got to talk to this guy, and he was cleaning up and showing off artifacts?
Yeah, he was cleaning the artifacts that they were still recovering from the Wyndham.
From the ship itself?
Yeah.
What about the mass grave that they reported finding about 3 or 4 years ago?
So they've located, out of 103 of the bodies, they've pulled up 102.
Really?
I think
now,
that's what they said, or 101.
Do they also believe that one of them is Sam Bellamy?
So I think it's Bellamy. He thinks it's Bellamy, but one of the guy that's over the dive says it's not. And so they pulled some random person from Europe, and they're claiming that that guy is a direct descendant of Bellamy, even though if you go look up his genealogy on any of these MyHeritage sites, you can't see how it links. But he did not DNA test positive to the body. But the body of Bellamy, and you know Bellamy's story, he would have carried 2 pieces of articles that would have come from Hallett, which is the girl, both those two pieces were on that body. The scarf was wrapped on the gun, just as it was supposed to be, that was found on the body, along with the teapot.
What about the sword? Because there's stories about a special sword that he had that was known to be his sword that was found in that mass grave.
It was found on the same body with the gun that they're saying isn't his now. But me and the other guy both think that they tested the wrong person.
Yes, I would believe that if those three facts are there, that would be almost irrefutable.
It's like if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Smith's Tavern, there you go. Is Smith's Tavern still in existence?
Yes.
Wow. I guess I'm going to have to go to Boston and go to Smith's Tavern. What's that?
Let me know. I'll go back with you.
Because I've had beer. I've had beer in Jean Lafitte's bar in New Orleans.
So I met Jean Lafitte's great grandson, I think is what he is. It's
probably
really
great grandson, because you're talking about the 1800s. Great grandson.
He works in title out here with me, and we met up from somebody else introducing us, and he caught that I had pirate ships, and we just started a long conversation and freaked everybody else out at the meeting.
Oh, very cool. I have a couple of questions that I'll ask you those in a private session later on. Did he give you proof that he's actually related to Jean Lafitte, or did he just tell you?
We're going to go meet up. He's got books.
Okay, because I can't tell you how many times that when I'm in the Pirate Museum, I have people come up and tell me that they're related to Blackbeard or they're related to Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
Constantly. And in many cases, there's no major records to show that these things may be true or false.
He has physical items that have been passed down through his family.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
So
I'd want to talk to him. That'd be interesting to have him on the show too.
Okay.
So what I'll have to do is put him in touch with me, because what we'll do is we'll pick a date that's close to like Jean Lafitte's either his death or his birth, and we'll celebrate Jean Lafitte and have him on. That'd be really wonderful. So what have you got going on? I know you're coming to Florida later on in October, so we'll get to have a couple of drinks and sit and chat in person. But what other projects have you got going on right now? Because you made comment while we were getting ready for the show that you've got a whole lot of stuff coming up for your pirate cruise, your Reach. So what do you got coming up?
October is my busiest month with the pirate ships. So everybody wants pirates everywhere during October. It's like a huge trend. And a really funny story, and I'd have to go look for his photos too, but there are 3 pirate ships in the town I live in, 2 of them being mine. And so the guy that owns the other one has come and looked at mine to rebuild and fix his up. But like it's like a mass pirate haven out here for some odd reason over the last decade.
I know, because when you think of Utah, you do think of pirates, don't you?
Right?
Right, yes, of course. Of course, if you were to put a list of importance, you think of pirates as number 1 and Mormons as number 2, right?
Starting to wonder that one.
Yeah, I mean, now I've been to Utah. When I lived in Las Vegas, I've been to Utah. I've been to Zion, the state park, which is gorgeous, and I've been to Cedar City. I've been there, and Utah is really a very pretty state. I wouldn't live there because besides some of the prettiness of the state, it's still desert like everything else out there.
It is.
So, what do you want to tell us is your goal now for what Reach is doing now? Do you have a major goal for the organization?
It's just more or less getting Reach fully back up and running since COVID. It would be amazing to actually get other states to start chapters of what we're doing and start spreading the way we're doing it and what we're doing and stuff like that. So just kind of keep spreading the word. We've been through ourselves teaching physically through Oregon, Colorado, the majority of Utah, and Idaho. So now, and then of course we came and played out with you guys.
So here's an important question. Are your pirates, and we're just talking pirates, we're not talking about your other characters, but when you go out and do pirates, are your pirates historically clothed accurately, or are you more of the storybook and fantasy pirates? Because with kids, they don't know the difference anyway, and there's no judgment here by whatever answer you give me. So
we mix it up. So we go with a mixture of historic and a mixture of fantasy. So you met Tyler, who I call Hook, and he explains to the kids using his character that those stories they know about pirates are just from stories. That's all they are. They're just stories and fantasies. And like explains it because he has a hook for a hand that actually screws off and on and things like that. And then we explain what real pirates were. So we use it as like an intro into teaching the kids about real piracy.
Because one of the things that I tell people is that almost everything that we see in the movies and TV and cartoons and everything else, if it wasn't for probably 2 books, Buccaneers of America, 1684, and
Treasure Island,
1883. And you could also give credit to Raphael Sabatini for Captain Blood and Seahawk. So that would give you 4 books that are a conglomeration of all the pirate stories these authors ever knew or ever read. And that's what they did. That's how and all of that is the very cornerstone or the very basic foundation of all pirate stories and movies that we know now. But there are a lot of pirates that are very historically accurate in their clothing and their wear and their weaponry. And then there are other pirates that are not. There's room for everybody. Especially if you're using it for the good of your community. Then there is good for everybody. So, all right, now, you're going to be here in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, 20 days, I think. What's today, the 3rd? So 19 days. That'll be good. And then you're coming back in January.
Yes.
So do you do a whole lot with your ships at Christmas time?
No, because of where I live, we get like 4 feet of snow. So while, yes, I'm in a desert, we get a lot of snow. So the ships don't usually move a lot. We used to kick back up again in February after we shut down after October, but the event that used to be held in February is now a summer event. So we probably won't start moving ships again until March or April.
So Utah has a pretty large, big-size Renaissance festival also, right?
Kinda. Every time we get a really good one going, something happens and it starts falling apart. So we do, the Thanksgiving Point has a Renaissance fair that we do every August. Then the Cedar City one has been shrinking down, and we just started doing that one this last year with them. And then it sounds like Charlie Andrews from the Knights of Mayhem might be getting his own Renaissance fair started up here soon too. And he's a professional jouster. He travels around the world jousting. And so I'm already slated to partner with him for a new event that will be getting kicked off.
Where will that one be?
Somewhere in Salt Lake County area. He wants somewhere that will let us serve alcohol because he wants to bring in the mead makers. And so that's a little harder fetch to find in northern Utah.
You can't have a Renaissance festival without mead.
They're all dry fairs right now.
Are they really?
Yeah, but
last one that we went to was dry, actually.
We have a mead maker that is helping us with the thing. I was actually just with him at the mini Renaissance fair that photo of my ships was taken at. That was over the weekend, but it's like not even a mile from my house. A mead maker was there doing non-alcoholic meads because you can't always serve the alcohol ones. And he's on board with me and Charlie, and we're going to go see what we
non-alcoholic mead.
Be like honey juice.
Yeah, it's honey soda.
Might as well just drink apple juice.
It's honey soda, he says.
Yeah? Wow.
Probably tastes like a cream soda.
So there's a pretty good-sized pirate festival down in Las Vegas, too, you know.
That's going on this weekend.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
So our good friend Mo, I can't pronounce his last name, he was here in St. Augustine this last February, so he's probably at that now. And he does a big Halloween thing in his yard. He has a big piece of property in the desert that he does a big Halloween. He's going to be one of our guests in a couple of weeks.
Oh, nice.
So, Give me something else that you want to tell us about that you're proud about what you do.
Mandy sent me pictures of the inside ship.
Oh, yeah? Oh, very cool. Oh, look at the subdued lighting. How fancy is that? That's nice. So how do you run the lights? You run the lights off of a battery or a generator?
So we can put a battery in it, but it has an outlet plug that we can pull off and plug into power. So it just plugs in and goes.
Well, that's pretty convenient.
Like an RV hooked to a truck.
Hey, Davey, don't tell Mandy, but send those pictures over to Gina.
We already made they do the same thing. I spent time with Ed and we wired it up so it could hook up to a
very good.
Oil plug.
Very good.
Yep. This one will get a sound system on it here soon too. So
I have a friend that's a magician out in California and has a ship that he performs off of. His ship is kind of a makeshift stage with a dock in front of it, and he does all that. I've always wanted to do that. Him and I met via online. We've had a couple of conversations. Oh, the River Pirate is with us. That's good to see. We made an agreement about 9 years ago that as long as he stayed on the West Coast and did magic and I stayed on the East Coast and did magic, we would both get along well and very well. But he was supposed to come out here because he's part of the Order of the Leviathan. He was supposed to come out here, but he didn't make it in February. But I really would be honored to have him come and hang out here. And the next Order event is in the summertime of next summer. But because of my scheduling and everything that happens, it gets to a point that I can't just go on the road and do things anymore. Unless, and here's a hint, unless any of the festivals out that way want to really have a cool magician with not only a magic show but a traveling museum also. Just saying. Just saying.
Just throwing that out there.
Just throwing it out there.
So it would be awesome if we get ours going off the ground next year. That's for sure. This is all the legwork so far. We've hit a lot of dead ends because nobody wants to let us have alcohol, but we're working it.
Well, there's got to be a way you can get around the alcohol thing. Al Capone did it.
A good hint's actually finding a third-party vendor that's willing to cover the insurance cost.
That's not the issue.
It's not the insurance, it's the law, isn't it? It's the law? Yeah, it's the law.
Utah only issues so many liquor licenses a year.
All right.
But the problem is a lot of the event facilities aren't eligible to have alcohol on the sites anymore. And so we can't even open it up. The one that Charlie thought we could use because they've had alcohol in the past transferred ownership, and because of the transfer of ownership, they can't have alcohol there anymore.
So let me ask you a question. We'll talk about it from this angle. Reach is a 501, correct?
Correct.
Is your other organization a 501 too?
It is not. Is
it an LLC?
For the other one. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I know this firsthand because several years ago, I had some disgruntled pirates report me to alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. In long conversations with them, they realized I was not doing anything wrong. I was not breaking the law. But they said, but I run the St. Augustine Swashbucklers as an LLC. Mm-hmm. They said if you ran it as a 501, you're entitled to, back then, I think it was 6 events that you could have alcohol at.
Yeah.
Is that a way to get around your problem?
I can get around part of it. I just have to find a facility that will allow us to have it.
I see. Okay, so it's not just what you can do, but it's about the location you got to be in, or you want to be in.
I can pull the special event ones. I can pull some loopholes to be able to get around some of those rules. Because I used to be tip certified, but the mead guy I'm working with also has a lot of that. So it's just a matter of navigating Utah law and finding a facility that will let us. And we may end up at the Utah State Fairground, even though I don't really want to be there. I would rather be at a prettier site, but they allow alcohol. So.
Oh yeah, remember, you gotta brag them. It's the most best location in the state.
Yeah, and Utah State Fairgrounds, I bet that's a costly endeavor just for the property then.
Well, and if they're anything like the ones around the other counties I've worked in, if I say I'm hosting it through Reach, they'll give it to me for free.
Okay, well, That may be an advantage, and you may have to you may have to take practicality over prettiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know, like, it's a very hot site. There's less shade and everything else in the books. So
See, and for those people that are watching the show, this is one of those things that our conversations with our guests open up all kinds of doors to talk about what's going on. I mean, Utah has all kinds of laws, pro and con on alcohol. The same with Florida or Alabama or Georgia. All the state alcohol laws are very different and can really cause challenges to any kind of event you do. I mean, I've had to deal with those challenges. I'll tell you one thing I did was we had some really great shot glasses, and I sold those shot glasses for a donation at an event. I think it was at the Old City Pirate Fest that you guys were at, that last event I did.
With the magic filling shot glasses?
Yes, the magic filling shot glasses.
Yes.
We sold the shot glasses for $5 a shot. But then you could come and sit at the captain's table, and I had rum, and I shared my rum for free. But you had to have a shot glass.
And
you had to have one of my shot glasses. What's that?
We could do stuff like that after hours. We just can't do it during any business hours because it's not a private event.
I see.
Now, if we label it a private event, and I figure out the rules to that, then we can get away with it all day long. But I have to get the difference between public to private and the costs and everything.
Well, I really commend you for what you're doing with the children, because that's my primary goal. It's the goal of my brother over in Panama City. The goal of Hawkeye down in the Scarlet Fortuna. I would say for you two up in Michigan. So many of the pirates that I started really conversating with and talking, they're all looking at doing things in the schools, because Lord knows when the schools start cutting things out, the first things they start cutting out are the extracurricular band and drama and all the things that really well round out children. And magic, like stage performance, when you can teach kids to do certain things, their confidence level goes up. And when their confidence level goes up, then their learning ability goes up, and they become much better students. And we need to really see how, as citizens of our community, how we can really reach out and do those kind of things. And it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job out there in Utah. So that's a wonderful thing.
I would like to add something. They say it takes a village to raise a kid.
It does take a village to raise a kid, as long as the village is not full of idiots. All right, go ahead. You got a point there. You were going to make a point.
The village idiots, right there, man.
Yeah, village idiots. That's it. Yeah, you don't want a whole village full of idiots. That's for sure. Well, we've reached this point in the time where we've had such a great conversation that, Davey, I believe we're going to go over our hour.
Yes, we will.
That's good. That means we've had a good show. Mandy, you can stay with us for a little longer, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good. So let's do this. Let's talk about a couple of other things that we want to talk about here. As I run down my script, so everybody... Oh, now how did I do that? I can't make it smaller. The screen just went smaller, and I can barely see as it is without my glasses. I'm vain. I don't really want to wear my glasses, but I really...
Spectacles.
I'm going to have to get some real good spectacles here so I can... I got black ones so you can hardly see them, right? It doesn't look bad, right?
Bad.
No, of course not. You're just being nice. So, ladies and gentlemen... As I said last week, we played a video for the two cello players. They're excellent. I love their version of Thunderstruck. But we got notified we shouldn't do that. So we're going to be very careful. But we do have a video we want to share. It's from last year. The dates and everything are not quite right, but we thought we'd share this as a good reminder, and we may be able to doctor this one up. We're working on how to do that. But Davey, go ahead and throw that one up there.
Halloween. That's what it was. It's coming up. St. Augustine Swashbucklers Spooktacular will be a walk-through outdoor haunted pirate invasion. 5 nights only. 22 and 23. That's a Friday and Saturday night. Then the next weekend, Halloween weekend, 29th, the 30th, and the 31st, Halloween night. Come on out. And this is one of the things that the St. Augustine Swashbucklers does to raise something for the community. You can bring pet food, which we donate to the Humane Society. You can bring human food, which is canned food, that we'll give to the food banks in the area. Or you can drop off a little bit of monetary donation, which we use to take care of all the other things that happen for this cause. Halloween 2021. St. Augustine Swashbucklers Spooktacular.
So obviously the dates on that are not quite right, but we wanted to play that because that's a really good video, and if we can figure out how to bounce off that video and add to it, we'll be using that. Next week I'll be showing you all the signs and the banners that we have for everything we're doing, but we'll be pushing the Spooktacular for 2022 every Monday night for this whole month. We want everybody to come down and come out. Our good friend there, Mandy Jo, will be here in town the first weekend we start building it. So we're going to probably put her to work. Give her something to do. Have some fun.
That's why I'm there.
There we go. We'll have some fun with it. But Halloween, Spooktacular, it's very important to the Swashbucklers. It's extremely important to me. And probably I have a toss-up between two holidays, Halloween and Christmas. And everybody knows why I like Christmas so much. But I like Halloween because I'm a magician and I like the magic of Halloween. And I like the magic of Christmas and being Santa Claus. And we'll be talking about that also. I have 90 Santa Claus gigs already booked. I will rest in January. So anyway, it is time for what Davey loves to put together, and that is the Week in History. So Davey, while you're doing that, I'm going to go through and check the comments. anything in your video. I'll have to go back and look at it again. We got some really great comments. Some of them made me laugh, and some of them were just... I love the banter back and forth about the differences of maybe not necessarily opinions, but pieces of information that everybody has that's so different. So I'm going to thumb through this. Before I do that, I'm taking this off. I'm done with my hat for tonight. You can rest it on the floor. It's fine. I have my rum, and we're going to talk about some of these comments because we got some really great comments tonight. Let's see. Welcome, Ken Smith. Thank you for joining in with us. Captain Smoo from Quebec, Canada. Hi, we welcome both of you in. Jonathan Miller, ahoy there, mates. Scarlett Deerheart. Gentlemen, how dare you insult us? Hi, my good friend, the Little Traveler. Hi, Little Traveler is a young lad up in Jacksonville. I've had a conversation with his dad this past week, but Little Traveler used to come to the museum and just hang out on a Saturday, and when I was busy taking care of other people, he would actually do partial tours for me. He's very knowledgeable, and he's going to make a great pirate, and I'm working with his dad to make sure we get some extra pirate gear for him. Nightingale in Florida, there it is. Dangerous Minds was a good movie, and liked Gangsta Paradise song. It was a great song. I actually used to do a magic trick to Gangster Paradise. It was one of the only rap songs I ever used in any of my magic shows that were on stage. And because it was such a good song. In fact, actually, the song, when it changed, and I think it changed because Sting got involved with it. But anyway, Captain Smoo again, Little Traveler. Let's see. The Earl has made it to us. I like that. The Earl. Let's see. And Mr. Longwood, you're keeping up pretty good with everything I've done here. Very good. I appreciate that. Let's see. Will the Historian is on. Mandy Jo, say hello to Will the Historian. That's my son up in northern Alabama.
Oh, nice to see you.
He's a high school history teacher. Oh, and by the way, while I've got Will the Historian on, if he's still on, in just a few minutes we're going to show some empty dates in November and December. I was wondering if December 5th, it's a Monday night, would be good for Will the Historian to be our guest, and we talk about Pearl Harbor, which is December 7th. Check your calendar and message us if you can. Nightingale in Florida, during a hurricane, feasting on whatever is in the freezer. That's a good activity. Of course, you have to let it thaw out first. We do the same thing with the tornadoes in Ohio. Let's see, down. Heck yeah, Ken. So he must be talking about tornadoes because up in northern Alabama, they get a lot of tornadoes up there also. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, we just watch them come in on the front porch in Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan gets them too. When I was a little boy, we lived in Abilene, Texas, which had tornadoes also. So we were well aware of it. A couple of others. Nightingale in Florida, she wanted to know about the old oak tree at the Colonial Quarter. Got surrounded by water, and believe it or not, no water made it into the bar or the restaurant, and it receded, so everything's good. Just piles of garbage and trash everywhere, tree limbs and stuff. That's all right. Ken Smith said hello to Mandy. Captain Smoo said hello to Mandy. Ken, if you're still watching, please remind us what part of the country you're in. I know Captain Smoo is in Quebec. The Earl is in Jacksonville. Let's see. There's Scarlett Deerheart saying hello to Zachary.
Hey, Scarlett.
Let's see. Nightingale in Florida made a comment about Sir Francis Drake. Supposedly did what? I must have missed something along the way.
That's Drake that was the other pirate.
Aye. Supposedly he buried treasure? No, I think he
went back and got it.
Yeah, he went and took it all to the Queen. It got him special favors.
Yeah, he stashed it to dodge authorities, then went back and got it and left.
Yes. Let's see. Kid buried treasure on Harker's Island to use as a bargaining chip. It didn't quite work out so well for him. You're absolutely right. It did not work out so well for him. Let's see. Nat Teach, a.k.a. Blackbeard, no, not to my understanding. I don't believe Blackbeard ever buried any treasure at all from my research. He didn't have to. He had a place to live. He kept all of his treasures there. Ken Smith says that Kidd began his career as a pirate hunter. It was members of his crew who mutinied and sailed off with another captain who later testified that Kidd was a pirate to save their own necks. I have not heard that branch of the story, but I wouldn't put it past some of those men, because once they got put on trial, they want to say just about anything. What about Kidd in Nova Scotia? Did Kidd make it up that high, Smoo? That's a good one. I don't know that he made it that high, but I'm now going to have to look at that one. You got a compliment on your ships there, Mandy, from Ken Smith. Rob Adams likes your ships. And today on Captain's Quarters podcast, everything you thought you knew about pirates was wrong. Good comment. That's one of the ones that made me laugh. Sounds like they're trying to blur the identity in order to protect the site from grave robbers, maybe. That would be our conversation on the mass grave for the crew of the Widow.
Yeah, for Sam Bellamy.
Aye. Ken Smith drank rum at Lafayette's as well. Aye, next time, Ken, we're going to have to drink together there. The River Pirate, I see him here. If he's watching. Now, I've already opened the bottle there, mate, but guess what? This is from Michigan, called Freshwater Rum. I'm going to save the rest of it, and we're going to do a River Pirate rum tasting with this one, and then we'll pick another one. So I'm saving this one for our next time together there, mate. We can do it right here in the Captain's Quarters podcast. Maybe we'll open this one here, too, because this was a special gift from Rum Diaries that you've never gotten there, River Pirate. But I did. But I'll share it with you. Let's see. So Rob Adams says he's been to Utah in the Harry Turtledove books. Not sure what those are. And Little Traveler was at a pirate dinner show. Little Traveler, were you in Orlando when you did that? Let's see. Flynn made a fantastic Captain Blood. Oh, Flynn. Errol Flynn. Yes, he did. But he was a better Robin Hood. Most pirates dressed in whatever clothing they took off of merchant ships. No uniforms for pirates. I often tell the children in my tours, Ken, that they dressed in whatever they could steal from the other ships, because there were no Walmarts in the New World. No Walmarts at all. I'd love to see a pirate joust on a horse.
I got video of that.
Do you really?
I got video of pirates East Coast swing dancing and flipping and stuff too.
Oh, really?
Because me and Hook are dorks, okay?
Does Bo joust?
No, but Hook does.
Hook does. All right, very good. Well, that'll be a good one. River Pirate says, as 21st century pirate, I get dressed from whatever Amazon has on Prime shipping. Yeah, now you can see why I was actually laughing at some of these and not paying attention to the video that Mr. Longwood does such a good job on. Let's see. It's the same around the world from Captain Smooth. There are two types of pirates, entertainment and historical. Huzzah to that. We don't discriminate between the two crews. We just ask that those crews know exactly when they're supposed to be historical, when they're supposed to be entertaining. Let's see what else. We got some great... River Pirate says you have some fine-looking ships there, Mandy. I wonder if he was talking about your bow or your... Never mind.
On the stern.
It is a family show. I should be careful. Mandy's ships are number goals. I would expect that Scarlet Deerheart is expressing that point, that that's something for her to strive for. Amazon, $40 LED with LED with color changing and music sync lights. I use them in my game room. Oh, Ken Smith asked an important question. Gina would like the chandelier. That's true. That's true. What are your ships built on? Are they on RV chassis or trailer chassis?
They're boats.
They're boat chassis.
They're actually, the bottoms are actual boats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that have been welded to the boat trailers and then built up.
Very cool. Very
There's
cool.
a YouTube video of the bigger one being built somewhere.
Very cool. Rob Adams, I guess, is responding to my Capone joke. Capone didn't have to contend with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Very true. He probably wouldn't have succeeded. Ken Smith, ATF should be a drive-through convenience store and not a government division. It actually, I would agree with you on that, Ken. I would also tell you that government agencies should not be a tattletale agency by people who are disgruntled or upset. And all I will say is that I had to deal with them, and I had to deal with state agencies also. It really is a pain, except that if you're in the right, the agencies then know you're in the right, and then are more apt to be on your side and help you out with suggestions and work. So it worked out in my favor, so there you go. Rob Adams says he likes the cut of your jib, Ken. I may do a Kickstarter for something like that. Very good. So, the question from Little Traveler. I seen Halloween is on a Monday. Will you have a show? We will not do anything on Monday night, the 31st. Only the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. Now is the time when we dance? No, Rob, don't dance, please. Donna Bogus is a former teacher, and she applauds what you do for children. Donna Bogus is a member of our crew, and also the better half of Davey Longwood. I got spectacles like Davey, Navigator Davey. I'm going to have to get some Navigator or Nightingale in Florida. Melody Mellow Lily is from up in Michigan, right?
She's part of my crew. She's
part of Harker's crew.
And we refer to her as the cabin fever counselor because she was starting, when she was in college, was going for a psychology degree. So if you have cabin fever, go talk to her.
Aye. Captain Smoo gave me a wonderful compliment. Don't forget, Captain, that you are also the official International Pirate Community's Santa. I take that very flattering, but there are several really good pirate Santas. I prefer to be the old world Santa, but I'm honored by your compliment. Thank you very much. Another one suggesting I get some spectacles. I guess I'm going to have to work on that. Utah Pirate just answered that one there. They are drivable. Can you put them in the water?
So there's a joke that the smaller one might actually float. The bigger one won't anymore because there's been too many pieces cut.
One weighs 8,000, the other is just shy of 4,000. Wow. Wow. That's a lot. Captain Mayhem saving rum. Yes, well, not really. I'm still drinking some of it here and there. Rumor has it pirates behave so badly it embarrassed the flamingos, and that is why they are pink to this day. I like that one. Let's see. Scarlet Deerheart, that's a hashtag. Hashtag is now and not number sign. Well, it looks like we got some great ones there. Where is your pirate thing in Panama City? Little Traveler, it's at Panama City Beach, and it's this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you're coming over, your dad wants to drive you over, come over for Saturday. Saturday is a good day. It's an all-day event. And it's at Pier Park, so come on out. So, Mandy, we've gone over our hour, and we always know that we've had a good show to go over our hour when we have really good guests. And you've been a really good guest. But you're also a really good friend, because a lot of people don't know, besides coming out and supporting us in person, you've done a few things monetarily to support some of the things this crew has done. So it's always appreciative, and we do appreciate you. I got a couple of big hugs and a bottle of rum when you get here.
Oh, great.
And
Good.
in the
Need
chat,
some of the Mormon rum.
What's that?
We have, I'm trying to think which person they're making fun of. Oh, Brigham Rum. We have Brigham Young that just started out here. Somebody's microbrewing it out in Salt Lake.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
If you can get me a bottle, bring it out.
Okay.
And if there's a cost there, you let me know.
Eh.
If River Pirate's watching, that would be a good one. Brigham Rum. That would be a really good one for a rum tasting.
There's that and Five Wives Vodka.
Five Wives Vodka.
Yeah, my husband knows the list, but they took a whole bunch of prominent LDS figures and named alcohols after them all.
Sounds like a rousing good time. Those Mormons are probably a little bit more fun than people think. Well, Brigham Rum, I like that. That's we're gonna have if you can get a bottle, get it out here to me.
I should be able to.
If it's
I'll bring
not
it
too
with me.
expensive, get me 2,
Okay.
and I'll save one for the River Pirate, and then you and I and whoever else will drink the other one here while you're here to celebrate you back here in Florida.
Sounds good.
Cool. So we have a couple of things that we have to do to close out our show, and those things are to talk about the thank yous that we need to do. So let's see. Oh, that and new on the horizon. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the 10th. No, the 3rd. And next week, we're returning from the Pirates of the High Seas, so we'll have pictures and talk about that, and it'll just be an easy show. Probably won't even go over an hour because it'll just be me and Davey and Hellfire. 17th of October, Andrew Nance. He's an author, an actor, and a voiceover. And he's done a children's book that's just now being published, a children's Halloween horror book. We're going to talk about that. My friend Mo Lastfogel out in Las Vegas, he does a pirate and Halloween haunt out there. We're going to talk to him about that and have a tour, a video tour of his Halloween haunt. November 7th, the tasting tour of St. Augustine should be coming on board with me. Those are the people I do the big Santa Claus things with. And then November 14th, my good friend Marc Fauget up in Quebec, Das Pirates. We'll be talking with him. He'll be online with us. We have to make sure he speaks in English and not French. And then on November 21st, we're looking to do an on-site, on-location Captain's Quarters podcast that Monday night in Dick's Wings on November 21st. It will be in conjunction with the St. Augustine Swashbucklers toy drive. And we'll be collecting money and have some grand prizes. We're working on it. I actually have a bottle of Jacksonville Jaguars emblazed on the bottle that I might actually auction off, plus a couple of other things. We may auction off a computer that night, too. We have a computer that we want to do something with. November 28th through January 2nd is pretty open, although December 5th, I've already penciled my son, Will the Historian, if he can come on board, and we'll talk about World War II history. And January 9th will be an Old City Pirate Fest prep and promo night. Other than that, we've got the nights fully open. If you want to be a part of our show, ladies and gentlemen, and come aboard with us, we'd love to have you. Send us a message. We are open to any pirate crew that sends us a message that wants to be a part of our show. Think about doing it in conjunction with an event you're doing. Pick 2 weeks out, and if we're free and available, we'll do it. If we can't have you on as a guest for the show, we will advertise your event. All you have to do is let us know. In 2023, we will be raising more funds to run the show. All of our sponsorship has always been enough money to run the show. Mr. Longwood, Mr. Hellfire, and myself do not get a paycheck from this. We raise enough money to run the show and have a good time and share our information about other pirates with other pirates and with other people. Today, I actually advertised this show on 37 Facebook pages. So we'll see how it goes. That is our On the Horizon. Our sponsors for the show happen to be Dick's Wings, St. Augustine, or Ancient City Sirens, Paper and Strings, our good friends Adam and Christy over in Tampa, Colonial Oak Music Park, Scarlet Deerheart and her Shiver Me Pictures, and of course the St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum. All of them very hefty helpers of our show. We will be looking for more sponsors starting in January of 2023. If you're interested, please drop us a line. We'd love to have you. Time to share our crew support. Of course, it's W. Mayhem Productions, the St. Augustine Swashbucklers, William Mayhem, and the Powder Monkey. He's always behind the scenes doing what he needs to do. We can't do anything without the Powder Monkey. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the crew of the podcast in cartoon formation, thanks to our good friend Sketchy Guy in Las Vegas, Nevada. Very good, that's that. We also have some charities that we try to do stuff for. Those charities are Inc., Investing in Kids, St. Augustine Youth Services, the Humane Society, and our own toy drive, Toys for Pits. Pits standing for Pirates in Training. Those are our 4 major charities. We do help others. In fact, this Thursday night, I will be doing a completely free appearance for several hours at the Fountain of Youth for the St. Jude's Organization for Children. I will be doing that Thursday night to help them out. And a few of my pirates may be showing up with me. So we don't just limit ourselves to those that are on that list. We do help other crews. I guess our Patreon is next. And if you want to be a part of our Patreon where you can give us a monthly small amount, we have several different ways you can do that. But go to Patreon, www.patreon.com. You can find us with those user codes there, or just look us up. Once you get there, as Captain's Quarters Podcast, you can be a member. A Powder Monkey is $1 a month. We have 1 of those. And a First Mate is $5 a month. We have 7 of those. And if we reach 10 First Mates, the minute we reach 10 First Mates, all 10 of those First Mates will actually be put into a drawing, and the sketchy guy has agreed to do a cartoon version of you if we pull your name out of the 10. So help us make it there. We have 252 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 weeks ago we were only at 225. So we've jumped up 30 in the last 2 to 3 weeks. My goal is to hit 300 by January. Can you help me out? Join us if you can. So ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the last part of our show. The part of the show where I tell everybody, if you want to be a part of the show, send us a message. We do send messages out and invite people to the show, but we can't catch everybody. And if you know of the show, watch the show, or are aware of the show, and think that we could help you out in any way, shape, or form with your event, or just because you want to be a part of our show, send us a message. Communications, ladies and gentlemen, are a two-way street. We can do all we can to send things out, but we may not hit everybody. You can do the same by sending us back. So get involved and be a part of our show. There's our email, captainsquarterspodcast21@gmail.com. Send us a message, and let's see if we can get you involved. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe it is time for our sign-out. And I'm putting in a little bit more of my punch and a little bit more for Mr. Harker here. And what do you say, Mr. Davey? Did we have a good show?
Aye, Captain.
I think we had a great show, and we only have great shows because we have great guests. Mandy, big hugs for you. Don't tell Bo.
He'll
But
be
we
fine.
look-
I'm sure he's watching.
I hope he is. We look forward to seeing you out here in a couple of weeks. It'll be wonderful to have you here. It'll be a busy weekend, but I'm sure we can put some time in to do some other things and have some fun.
It'll be
And
lots. I'm just excited to come see you guys after all this time.
bring your pirate gear, because there is one other thing we didn't put on the list. On October 22nd, Captain Mayhem will be at the Ancient City Kids event. And that is a kids event that is put on totally for free for all children to come out and have fun. There are police cars and Coast Guard vessels and everything to climb all over and have a good time. And I'll do at least one magic show for the day and MC the whole show. So come on out. It's about a 3 to 4 hour event in the middle of the day. You can come out and dress as pirates and hang out with us if you want.
Powder Monkey will be there.
Powder Monkey will be there.
Nice.
And we'll do some pictures and see what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, we always close our show with the same words. So Mr. Longwood, take them off.
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew. Always. Cheers to all. Thank you much for being here. We love your support.